Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Not Scrum Dumb podcast. I'm your co-host, Adreanna Marshall, and that's my amazing co-host.
Grand Scrum Master Scott, greetings everyone.
Today, we're going to be answering a subscriber question, which is how is progress tracked in Scrum? If you have a question, you can reach out to us via LinkedIn. Our LinkedIn's in the description. You can email us or leave a comment on the video and we'll get to it and then also create a video about it. So, Scott, kick us off. How is progress tracked in Scrum?
I guess we're taking an approach to build up to it in terms of what the Scrum Guide says in the Agile Manifesto. So I will start out with some tools that can be used for tracking. I'm going to go with the burn down chart. That was the first thing that popped up in my head in terms of tracking progress. The burn down chart is a tool that shows amount of work remaining. It's a very common tool. I love to use something like this because it's just a great tool to visualize a lot of data points and we could visually see it. And when I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking about empiricism. One of the pillars of empiricism is transparency. I'm trying to figure out ways that we can make things more transparent in the environment so that we can actually see, are we tracking towards the right progress? Are we tracking towards our goal, whatever that may be? And the burn down chart does a wonderful job of making that visible so that we can have that conversation. Adriana.
Yeah, I think I'll go back to your point about what the Scrum Guide says. The Scrum Guide mentions progress about 10 times, but it doesn't tell you how to track progress because that is ultimately up to you. Now, progress is definitely tracked, but how you decide to do it is up to you. One of the things the Scrum Guide does say is that sprints enable predictability by ensuring inspection and adaptation of progress toward a product goal at least every calendar month. So we do expect progress to be tracked, and every single event is inspecting and adapting so that we can make progress toward our product goal. How you choose to do that, like Scott gave an example of the burn down chart. The Scrum Guide mentions burn down charts. It also mentions burn up charts, which is just doing the opposite of what Scott said. It goes up instead of down. And then it also mentions cumulative flow diagram. So for those that don't know what that is, it's an area chart that shows the various statuses of work items for an application, version, or sprint. Those are the three that the Scrum Guide mentions. If you're using something like Jira, you can use version tracking, epic tracking, sprint by sprint tracking. There's other tracking that comes with some of these tools. Jira is typically the most popular. I know that others are picking up, but that is the most popular use so far. And they have some built in ones that you can play around with and work with the team to decide which one is going to be best for us. Some teams, they don't like burn down charts. They like the cumulative flow diagram instead of that. Some teams love the epic report and they work their way through that. Some teams love the sprint report. There is an actual sprint report that you can use in terms of Jira instead of the other ones that we just mentioned. So there are a lot of options. Work with your team, play around with them, decide which one is easier for your team to understand and track their progress. Scott, anything else you want to add to this?
Absolutely. All very good points, Adriana. And I'll also throw in there, let's move to the events. I'm thinking about a couple of events that may help us to track progress towards our sprint goal or progress in general. I'm thinking about daily scrum as an opportunity for developers to track their progress towards achieving the sprint goal. They're looking at the sprint backlog. This is in process. We're moving. We're going to our destination. So while we're going to our destination, every day while we're working, we're going to take a pause and ask the question, are we on track to accomplish our goal? Then the other event I'm thinking about is the sprint review. Now, before I go a little bit deeper into that, let me go back to the Agile Manifesto. The Agile Manifesto principle I'm thinking about is the primary measure of progress is working software or working product, depending upon what your environment is. Now, the question becomes, where do we show progress in Scrum? Well, that will be the sprint review. So yeah, the sprint review is where we're going to show the stakeholders, the customers, what we actually built for them, what we did for them, and get feedback on what we've done. In my opinion, the ultimate validation of progress is actually when the customer have it in his or her hand, using it, giving us feedback on it so that we can make it better.
Yeah, that's great. So we talked about burn down charts, burn up charts, cumulative flow. We talked about taking it to your team. We talked about sprint review and we talked about daily scrum. The one thing that we didn't talk about was velocity tracking. that is sprint by sprint. It's really going to help you in terms of capacity. It doesn't really help you understand your real time progress like the other things that we mentioned. The final point I want for this video that I hope you guys understand is that these are for the team. This isn't for management to be tracking. Developers tracking their own progress. Obviously, as Scrum Masters, we're tracking as well. We're helping them understand these charts. So it's really important to get a feel for what your software and system is and understanding what charts are available and being able to learn those and teach your team. All right. If you want to connect with us, check the description. We have LinkedIn's, we have live courses, we also have self paced courses that you can check out as well. And you can subscribe to our email list. If you made it to the end of this video, that means you have an attention span greater than a goldfish.
Be legendary, everyone, but not Scrum Dumb. See you in the next episode.